HOT6 GSL. My conscience is failing me.
We are back at the GSL Code S round of 8. We do have our first member into the semifinals. It was Deer, but now we are going to another great best of 5. It is going to be Byul versus GuMiho for
8강
TDC.
2경기 바로
We're going to be jumping
시작하겠습니다.
straight into an interview to see how these two players are feeling today and how they are feeling about their opponents. Now, by names alone, this should be a great series, even better than the series we saw before.
이두 선수 과연 어떤 컨디션이고 어떤
We're going to actually find out about the
이야기
conditions of these
들어보겠습니다.
players, as I
먼저
mentioned
하지원
before.
선수 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
네, 고병재 선수 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
네, 자, 이 두 분의 경기에 많은 분들이 관심을 갖고 있었습니다. 먼저 일단 컨디션이 어떨지 궁금한데
A
한지원
lot
선수
of
어떠세요?
fans are looking forward to see you guys play today.
컨디션이 좀
How are your
잠도 많이
conditions?
설치고
네.
몸도 좀 아프고 그래가지고
I couldn't really sleep
최악인
well
것
last
같아요.
night.
오늘 컨디션이 최악이다
I'm kind
이렇게
of sick
밝혀주셨는데
today.
고병재 선수는 웃으시네요. 자,
So my
어떠세요?
condition is not great.
저도 컨디션 한 그렇게 좋지는 않은데
GuMiho
네.
also says his condition
최악이라는
is
소리
not
들으니까
that good
잠깐
today.
웃음이 나네요.
네, 두 분 아까 친해 보였는데
He says it's
굉장히
kind of funny.
멀찍이 떨어져 앉으셨네요.
That both of us are actually not doing so well
오늘
today,
어떤
condition-wise.
경기가 나올지 궁금한데 예상은 어떻게 하고 계세요?
원래
How do you
처음에
think the matches are going to
경제가
go?
올라왔길래
네,
쉽게 이기겠다 생각했는데
네.
When
요새
GuMiho first advanced,
좀 안
he thought it was
좋아가지고.
going to be an easy match for him.
그게 좀
But since
변수가
his
될 것
condition
같아요.
is not good
몸이 많이 안 좋으세요.
tonight, he thinks it's going to change everything.
그래요. 자, 고병재 선수 상대가 오늘 왜 이렇게 약한 척하는지 모르겠어요. 고병재 선수는 오늘 경기 어떻게 예상하고 계세요?
So, how do you predict today's matches to go, GuMiho?
요즘 저거 중에 제일 잘한다고 생각해서
오,
I think Byul is the best
3대0
server in the
아니면
world right now.
힘들다고 생각하고 앞에 세 경기만 열심히 준비해서 왔어요.
If I don't win with a 3-0,
3대0으로
I think
이길
it's going to be
각오로
difficult. So I prepared
오셨는데 사전에
very
저희가
hard
맵을
for the
정한
first three
만큼
maps.
준비할 시간이 있었습니다. 한지원 선수는 준비 어떻게 잘
Not a bad
되셨어요?
idea.
저도
How did
결승이
you
있긴
prepare,
한데
Byul, for
네.
today's matches?
그래도 앞에 있는 경기가 더 중요하니까
I have a finals coming up this
또
week on
열심히
Sunday,
준비했어요.
그렇군요.
but
자,
he feels like
고병재
this match is
선수.
more important right
네,
now, so he prepared very
저는
hard for this
이거밖에
match.
없어서 정말 열심히 준비했고요.
네.
This is my
마운틴이
last
결승
match
준비할
of the
수
year, so I
있도록
prepared very
네,
hard, of
과연
course,
이
for
양대
today's match.
결승 기록을 과연 만들 수 있을까?
I
많은
wish
분들이
that
주목하고
I
있는
hope
이
he's
한지원
just
선수
preparing only for Sunday
기록에 고병재
rather than
선수가
preparing
나가실
for this
수가
match, because
있을지
that's my
궁금한데
last thing
우리
this
경기
year.
시작하기 전에 서로에게 훈훈한
GuMiho.
덕담 한마디 하고 시작을 하겠습니다.
Final
먼저 이번에는
comments to
고병재
each
선수가
other
해볼까요?
before we jump into the games.
지원아 결승 가서 꼭 이기길 바랄게.
I hope you win in the
네,
finals of
잘해주세요.
Star League.
알겠습니다. 한지원 선수 화답해 주시죠.
공허의 유산 테란 좋은 걸로 아는데 공허의 유산 잘해.
네,
So
공허의
Terran's
유산에서
very strong in the
자랑을
next
받았다.
expansion, so
서로 이렇게 훈훈한
don't worry.
덕담을
I hope you do
나눠봤는데요.
well in the
자,
next
오늘 8강
expansion.
2경기 과연 이 경기의
Yeah,
주인공은
not
누가
in this
될지
match, but
바로
maybe next time,
시작해보겠습니다.
GuMiho. So Byul wants to say, let's go into a player video right now.
I am a ghost, but only a few remember. So say, my hands are tied, stuck in this room forever. I scream, but only echoes care to answer. We wage our war, but fail to find our home.
So pretty cool video there, kind of storying as I go to lean down in our chair. How these guys did get here and how they've done in the past as well.
I gotta ask you predictions going into this one.
I'd say Byul 3-1.
I
It was
say
close between 3-1 and 3-2.
I say GuMiho wins it 3-0, or Byul wins it.
What? That's
or-
not the way predictions work. Wolf.
Or I'm just saying if that doesn't happen, like this is okay. So
Okay, so this is like a two-part prediction.
okay, it's like a two-part prediction. It's like kind of cheating. All right, well, just bear with me on this one. If Byul wins it, he will win as he has won every versus Mech Terran series in Game 5, and it's also I predict Game 5 will be on Terraform again. Like I don't even know
Before
what the
we even
maps
see the
are.
maps,
I have
like-
no idea,
Yeah.
but like My theory is GuMiho will, if he doesn't win 3-0, lose on Terraform as both Innovation and TY did before him. Keep in mind, like I think a lot of people don't put enough. Just like a lot of people do not put enough faith in Deer, people do not put enough faith in GuMiho going into the series. I was joking about the 3-0, but if I had to choose between these two players, I would absolutely pick GuMiho like 70% to 30, like on my confidence in it, because Byul is preparing for a totally different matchup versus a teammate right now for a finals that's going to happen in 4 days from today. 4 days from today. Offline finals, very important finals, could be his first title. Obviously, there's a lot on the line in that tournament.
That is true, but in recent times, he has been practicing a ton for this matchup. He's shown that he can take out the best meching Terrans in the world in terms of innovation specifically. Also took out TY, as you mentioned. But GuMiho here, I feel like, is also a great meching Terran. But I like his play in TvT a bit better. I feel like he has a fantastic understanding of that matchup. I think Byul is going to be just too much for him to handle here. Okay.
Well, I like that we disagree here, because that always makes for a fun story. Similar to the Classic matchup that we had earlier, Classic won a lot of PvPs recently, kind of on the edge. The same way that Byul won against a lot of great meching Terrans just on the edge. But GuMiho, he won actually versus Sue, probably one of the worst ZvT mech players that are, that's probably one of our top Zergs. But he beat Rogue 2-0. And then he played in a group with two Terrans, showed a lot of TvT, got out of that group over Flash. But again, he has not shown as much recent TvZ mech. The last time he did it was in the round of 32, whereas Byul went through two Terrans in Star League.
Yep, that is very true. It would be interesting if everything did line up as they did in the last game. But also, that series was a PvP, can get a bit wonky. Classic, I feel like, wasn't really on top of his game. Byul was kind of talking about how his condition isn't good, and GuMiho himself as well. But I feel like sometimes players just say that in interviews to kind of let their opponent's guard down, say like, I'm not really that good today. Like, I got 6 hours of sleep instead of 7.5, so I'm not feeling good. But in fact, I think they're both going to be on top of their game tonight.
Absolutely. Now, GuMiho did kind of reveal that he was focusing on the first 3 maps. We're going to take a look at what those maps are in just a moment, as well as find out what their HOT6 bars do, in fact, say, which is one of everyone's favorite parts of the GSL Code S.
Oh, yes.
I would expect them both to say something about either their condition or the weather. The weather was great today, by the way. I went out on a terrace. I was just like chilling out in the sun.
These days in Korea, there's a lot of wind, but it's not too cold. It's just like kind of that early autumn wind. It blows away all the smog. There's no clouds. It's super sunny all the time, and it's not too hot.
Yeah.
It's fantastic weather. If anyone's here in Korea visiting now, you came at like the perfect time. Don't come to Korea in the winter. Don't come in the summer. Come in the spring or the fall. Those are the best seasons.
GuMiho says, I will show both mech and bio. That's totally a lie. And Byul said he's prepared for everything. So I guess these two kind of countering each other's statements. They both think a lot more highly of each other than we saw in the PvP matchup.
Yeah, kind of interesting. I mean, those two guys were definitely friends, a bit closer. Maybe these guys have a bit more honest opinions here. GuMiho saying that Byul's preparation is a 5. That's kind of interesting. Also, his defense.
There's a 5 as well. Well, we did see that Byul often got frustrated in his series versus the meching Terrans, especially in the series against Innovation. It looked like he had given up in the final game that he did win, mostly due to, most people would argue that Innovation just simply did not research his upgrades. A bit of a controversial series there, but we still see GuMiho gives him an 8 out of 10 in his mentality bracket. Byul giving him a 9.
A 10 out of 10 in attack. I think that was the only 10 we've seen so far.
Yeah. Definitely, at least in these two, we didn't see any 10s on the previous HOT6 bars. But more exciting than this, I feel, is the maps. And are we really going to see Terraform as Game 5? That would be crazy. Game 5 on Terraform, Byul beats Innovation. Game 7 on Terraform, Byul beats TY. So that's almost like a curse or a trend. It's a pattern that we've been seeing.
That would be so funny if it's actually Game 5. I think if it is Game 5, we almost definitely have to go there, just because that's the way the stars align every time.
Yeah.
It can't be any other way.
So GuMiho is considered by most in Korea. Most players and most commentators have been saying he is the best meching Terran. But Byul, This player right here just recently defeated two of the best meching Terrans in Innovation and TY back-to-back. Now, this did show a lot of his strategies to GuMiho, but, you know, he looks solid. It probably scares GuMiho, to be honest.
Yeah, but at the same time, he has a lot to prepare. Let's take a look at the recent matches that we've been talking about here. Defeated TY in a best-of-7. Did go down to TY, though, in the round 4 playoffs recently. Also defeated Innovation, took down Fantasy in a best-of-3, took down Dream in a best-of-3.
Beat Maru twice, once in the round of 3 and once in the round 3 playoffs, which actually caused him to win the match for CJ Entis in round 3, defeating Jinner for the 3rd time in a row in round finals this season. So you can see he's just kind of on a roll in this matchup. And it goes all the way as back as defeating Maru with his aggressive attacks, which might be why GuMiho gives him a 10 out of 10 for his attacks, for his aggression. But, you know, if you look at all the stats alone, if you're like looking up this on TLPD and Alugalak, which I can never pronounce, then you might be saying, well, Byul wins this 100%. But again, just like I said, don't sleep on Classic. Do not sleep on GuMiho going into this. He's got a lot of games to study, and this is everything to him right now. I can guarantee you he has wanted nothing more this year than this moment right now.
Yeah. He was kind of given an interesting in as well. Keep in mind, I think that was you and I were casting his game against Flash. It was the last game of the night, and Flash actually finally grabbed onto the game and made it even on Bonnie Research Station. It went for kind of a, I don't know, ill-fated attack and got caught out in the middle of the map and lost everything and essentially lost in the game.
All right, let's look at why every commentator and every player is saying GuMiho is the best meching Terran. Now he's 9-1 versus Zerg, recently defeating Rogue and Su 2-0 in GSL, beating Solar, who's, mind you, a great Zerg versus mech player, defeating Hyun in Code A, not the craziest thing, and everything else that comes before that, not as important, but those recent wins versus Rogue and Su, and how perfect he looked and how careful he was, plus his mech he showed in ZvT. This guy was one of the first players in Wings of Liberty to be showing mech consistently, winning with it versus Zerg. He's got a lot of experience, and I think part of the reason why I want to favor him today is not even based on stats. It's based on the fact that he's on one of the weaker teams in Pro League that's no longer going to be in the end of the season. This is going to be his last tournament, his last chance to be a champion in Heart of the Storm. We don't know what's going to happen to MVP next year. This is GuMiho's essentially last big chance to make a name for himself, to be a champion.
It's actually his last big match. It actually fits this time around. And, you know, everybody does talk about how GuMiho is the best meching Terran, but I think he still has to show it here. This is probably the best test you can get, right? Byul's defeated all the other great meching Terrans, so can he defeat GuMiho? I think it's going to be a very even match here. Taking a look at some of these map stats, Iron Fortress and Expedition Lost have been banned. We are going to start off with Cactus Valley, Echo, Bonnie Research Station, Coda, and Terraform.
Oh my God!
It's
every time!
It's
every time! I had already forgotten about that idea. Terraform is set 5. Okay, let me just rehash this if you just tuned in.
It's going to Game 5.
Byul beats Innovation on Game 5 in Terraform. Byul beats TY on Game 7 on Terraform to go to the finals. And now, will we see him defeat GuMiho again in the round of 8 in Game 5? That is the question.
That would be so sick.
It's the curse.
It would be a huge story if he would actually get there. But he does have to get there all the way to set number 5. As we said before, this is going to be a very, very even matchup. I was saying I was favoring Byul a bit before, but I'm not 100% right now. It really could go either way here. Map number 1 is going to be Cactus Valley. The map is loading up, guys, so get hyped here for set number 1. Tell your friends to get into the stream. This is about to be a crazy best of 5 between these two players. Let's jump into game number 1 right now.
HOT6 GSL 시즌 3.
Up here in the top left, in the red, the Zerg player is
CJ 엔투스 별.
별. There he is.
Star in Korean. His opponent in blue to the top right, Nine-Tailed Fox.
MVP GuMiho.
And we spawn horizontally at the top of this map, which means that there is potential for that 10 out of 10 attack coming out from Byul.
I want to see exactly what that means here tonight. What kind of 10 out of 10 attack he's going to give to GuMiho. But realistically, Byul not getting lucky with this first scout. He is going to send that second Overlord over. This map isn't bad, actually, in terms of Byul getting a good scout onto GuMiho. Cactus Valley, a very big map, not a bad map to go mech on. So definitely getting the scout in the main base of GuMiho very early on is going to be important in this one.
That is true. You know, already we saw GuMiho showing that in his little HOT6 profile, he's could do both mech or bio. We saw Byul die to TY's bio on Expedition Lost, in fact, the map that GuMiho banned going into this series. And we are going to see not only a CC first, but a CC first into gas first. So a very greedy opening from GuMiho. And if Byul doesn't scout this, right away, he's not necessarily going to be able to punish it.
Seems like these guys have only played 2 games against each other. Not even sure exactly when those qualifiers were for that IEM, but GuMiho did take a 2-0. Kind of an interesting stat.
That must have been back in like April or something. That's quite some time
Must
ago.
have been a while.
Yeah. Like about 6 months ago or so at least. That's actually kind of crazy they never played against each other before this, considering how many times they could have run into each other.
Yeah.
They were former teammates in Pro League, both being on CJ at the time of last season, so maybe that's part of the reason why.
Yeah.
And that means actually these guys know each other decently well, although I would say that GuMiho's stay on CJ Antis was fairly short-lived. He is, banking up here. You get double orbitals now, the first Marine on the way, and he's so greedy he's not even going to go to Reaper. He's just going to go straight into Factory and build with no drone scout. He's going to have no idea this is all going on, and he's going to wish he went double hatch for a pool when he sees how greedy GuMiho is
No
playing.
drone scout, no lucky early Overlord scout. He went for these 2 lings. He's going to have to hope to get some kind of scout here, but there is already 1 Marine out, looking on the edge here for any Overlords.
Yeah. First lane will come in here. Not only is the CC done, but the orbital is done. Yeah, he's going to come up here and be like, oh my god, a Factory too.
Ling getting to work here. He actually gets in the main, but, oh, wow.
Seeing that second gas is kind of important, but
Needs to see the other gas. There he does.
yeah. So seeing 2 gases up like this does tip him off that follow-up is going to be quite strong, with potentially even quick Banshees at these spawning locations. GuMiho, check really quick. I don't think he saw that Overlord, so that's not enough information to actually know necessarily that Byul has spawned to the top left. I don't believe he saw that Overlord. Speed is about to finish, and with this, Byul can start to think about securing that 3rd base location. And we actually see a Widow Mine, 2 Widow Mines being reactored out here, and we're probably going to see a drop to follow this up with a 2-base lair for Byul.
Yeah, just 2 Hellions coming out here. Will be able to get that scouting information. Does not yet know where Byul is on the map, and is going to have to check every location here. That's kind of annoying. But Byul getting that lair up. Going to have to get some kind of detection out here early. Uh-oh.
Nice
Spidey, but does come up just in time.
Losing that CB, that's not the end of the world. Widow Mines still remain hidden. And there is a Spore Caller going up blind right now for Byul. A really good choice right over there at the natural. It's going to intercept drops and provide detection.
Look at this spread, too. He sees it coming through.
Really nicely done. And he also has extra queens for these 2 bases. Gonna deny a 3rd base, which is a nice little bonus, but this drop should find 0 damage. I would be really surprised.
Yeah, it should. Especially with 3 queens in position. No way that medevac's getting in, but Hellion will get into the main. We'll see everything. Nothing that I think he wouldn't expect at this point, especially Byul staying on 2 bases for this long. Should know Alara's come up.
The only thing that GuMiho might want to do after seeing that lair and not seeing the Spire is add like a depot on the left side of his base to spot for Nidus, and that's all he's really going to have to worry about. He knows it's going to be Spire otherwise. In fact, even having a Viking out here is pretty much as good as putting a depot on the left side of the base so he can clear up Overlords. A few Lings out on the map, trying to see if they can find a third base, pressure a little bit more at the front, but there's nothing to be found here.
That scout is so important, by the way. He sees all the barracks coming up, and he should have seen the stim being researched. So we are actually going to see Bio out of GuMiho. He was saying that he was going to play both Bio and Mech in the series. We weren't sure if he was serious, but looks like he very much is.
Well, 3 Queens here. This is going to be a dead medevac if he's not perfect with the control. Does have an opportunity to drop this natural now, or excuse me, third base. 2 Widow Mines. Looks like unscouted, actually. Here comes some Lings, but that's not enough. He's going to have to split these. Oh, man, a drone tanking for the Lings? What a great bro drone right there.
Yeah. And the medevac and the 2 Widow Mines do get out alive, so that is kind of annoying.
But, you know, this Bio is with 5 barracks, which is basically exactly what we saw from TY when he played Bio on Expedition Lost, is brought to you guys by the fact that we saw a double CC into factories that allowed him to have such flexibility while he had early super fast mules. Now he's got 3 CCs and he can afford these triple barracks, and with the Bio push can move that third CC down. In fact, he's starting to move it right now. And the one thing that, you know, is worrisome is these Mutalisks, but he already has 3 turrets in place for the first 8. And this Widow Mine placement here is pretty scary because if those are not triggered, he can actually use them to bait Zerg units into them during his push.
Well, here come the Mutas into the main. There's 1 missile turret in the mineral line. I think he can poke at this refinery, though. Begin to get some of those SCV kills, and if there is no response, maybe even take out that refinery. Would be quite nice here.
Yeah, it looks like a medevac of units is going to boost in here to help defend us. He will get a free refinery, but this is not a meching GuMiho. It's not the worst scenario here. He's already got 1-1 on the way. He has Stim, Combat Shields on the way. He's getting a lot of medevacs out with 9 Marines at a time being cycled through. Ooh, those are wasted Widow Mine shots. But with 9 Marines at a time being cycled through, he actually can almost just defend Mutalisks with Rally from his barracks to the mineral line.
I do like the positions here for Bio for GuMiho. He can just go straight towards that natural up in there, clear the creep in essentially one direction. It is kind of hard for him to pressure at that third base. He has to go all the way around, and with total map control right now going to Byul, you know, he's going to have that watchtower. He's going to have to take a really long path to get over there. But it looks like he's just going to go for the direct attack.
Yeah.
Clear up some of this creep.
He will need to go ahead and drop those scans. Now, his attack with the Lings is going to be great to cut off reinforcements. Really great trade here for Byul already.
Oh, yeah.
And GuMiho needs to respond. Now, 1-1 upgrades are already done for GuMiho. They're not done for Byul yet, and he does not have Baneling speed. This may be an ill-fated defense here. Good splits from GuMiho so far, but, you know, this is just a lot of Bio here.
Look at that. The Baneling's really not getting many hits at all. What they do hit are a bunch of the Hellbats, some of them even staying alive, and now GuMiho's got a pretty strong force here right on the front doorstep of Byul.
Those 8 Banelings that are on the way are so important, but so are these 1-1 upgrades which aren't finished, which GuMiho is not targeting, actually. He's just trying to use these evolution chambers as kind of a wall here. You can actually go ahead and target down the Baneling nest. Now that would be a great snipe here, but the 10 Banelings will finish with speed.
But he does get that Baneling nest. And now at this point, he has done the damage. Some more Banelings rolling through, but a lot of GuMiho's army does stay alive.
Yep, and he just continues to actually use this high ground, low ground kind of elevator to push this army back. Baneling nest being remade. The 1-1 upgrade's finished. I feel like if GuMiho had realized that one was not done, he definitely would have targeted the Evo chambers. But as it is, Byul defends. A narrow defense, but a defense nonetheless. GuMiho's just going to try to hold on to this third base and start +2.
GuMiho almost stayed too long there. That was getting a bit scary. If he got that whole army cleaned up with all 3 medevacs as well, could have really gone in Byul's favor. Byul now going for an attack here without Banelings. That one Baneling does get a really nice hit, though.
Yeah, 1 Baneling in that army, and it looks like that's all he needed because GuMiho did not see it. Neither did I until it went off, to be totally frank with you guys.
Slipping under the medevacs there somehow. It was pretty cool.
If that had not gone off, though, those Mutalisks would have actually been shredded if they stayed that long. So really banking on that attack there. But again, just a narrow win here for Byul yet again. But the 2-2 upgrades are on the way for GuMiho now. Byul is taking a 4th base in a good location, safe, far away from the Terran army.
Yeah. And again, just look at this forward path. There's like no creep over here.
Yeah.
Byul's got a pretty safe 4th base himself over there on the left side. This SCV is going for the scout, and Byul's actually going to mistakenly allow him to get that scout. So GuMiho definitely has to think about pressuring over there, trying to deny that kind of fourth base coming up here, but he still does have a direct path straight in there with not much creep.
Yeah, Byul's creep spread right now looks like a bunch of fingers sticking out across the map, but they're all just one, supported by one line of tumors. Meanwhile, these Mulas are doing a lot of damage, so I do want to echo your point about the creep spread being one of Byul's weaknesses in this game, but already 5 SCV kills, and forcing a lot of stims here, and again, keeping that map control away. So even though this fourth base is scouted, it's not under pressure because Mulas have kept GuMiho back.
Byul even now going to go for the +2 to flyers before he does go to his +2 to ground. With this many mutas out on the map, I think that's a great idea. This medevac actually is going to be sniped out, getting 0 damage. Let's see what this drop can do, though.
Might find the Baneling Nest again. It's actually heavily damaged, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Yeah, not with that many Banelings coming his way.
He's going to move again onto this area where the creep spread is very weak. He's even able to get into the back of the natural without any creep spread. This is a big problem. That's something that Byul should probably think about remedying here. He only has 3 queens. Doesn't even have enough queens for each hatch. 2 more popping out right now, but still, this is one of those problems in this game that's going to become a bigger problem as the game goes on. +2/2 is now finished for GuMiho again. A whole set of upgrades ahead. He is getting the +3 attack immediately, as well as the medevac upgrade, which is halfway done to keep those medevacs alive longer in these fights, as well as the Widow Mines.
It's kind of interesting that no Thors are being added into the composition here for GuMiho. With 20 mutas out on the map, with the heavy upgrades here, I think he definitely has to commit to some, or at least add some more Widow Mines into this composition. It looks like he is going to go for the Widow Mine choice. But I mean, with 20 mutas, with almost +2 on the map right now, they can come in, snipe a turret, and GuMiho has to turn around now.
Look at this really good micro from Byul with his Mulas, forcing him to turn around here. A huge group of Lings coming down as well, but there are no Banelings to join them, so it's not going to be the best trade for those Lings. Mulas still finding damage. Could actually go for these eBays potentially. Looks like he's going to decide to leave at the last second. Now, GuMiho's army in the middle of the map was kind of awkwardly sitting there doing nothing during all of this. So he is now scanning and cleaning up some creep. This base is scouted but will be defended. And Byul is ahead in basically every way in this game once he catches up with these upgrades.
With full map control like this, he's going to be able to get that 5th base very easily. Widow Mine is going to get a pretty nice shot there, and that muta count is definitely being cut down on. But Byul with an incredible economy is going to easily be able to remax here, already up to 200 supply.
I just want to point out as well, something that hasn't really been discussed, is that Byul has 64 Banelings on the map right now to 72 Marines. So he's almost a personal Baneling for every Marine on the map, which is always a scary thing versus a Zerg player. But still, with good splits and good Widow Mine hits, this might be negligible. So far, the Widow Mine hits have been basically terrible, not hitting a lot of anything.
Really nice splits here from GuMiho, but this just may be too much. Huge Baneling hits there, and there's still more to come. Danuta's also pushing in here, and it looks like GuMiho will be pushed back off this creep.
And this will be the last time in this series we see him play Bio. Just clearly not as good at it in today's form as he has been with his mech. And, just no Thors in the army, despite his proclivity to use Thors in this matchup normally, even before he was meching, and also using him in TvT. Just simply not adding them, having a weak defense. GG versus the Mutalisk. This really inevitably was his downfall. He allowed Byul to have enough space to get that many Banelings up. When you see a Zerg player has 64 Banelings, that means the Terran player is never crossing into his side of the map ever, and he's stockpiling them for a big fight like that. Good, splits, good moves against the Widow Mines again there by Byul, and he takes a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, really dominant game there from Byul, really shutting down anything GuMiho can throw at him. There was a couple of pressures from GuMiho that looked like they may have been able to do some damage. Some pretty even fights there, but he was just eventually able to get way too far ahead of GuMiho. And I definitely want to echo the point that GuMiho is much better at mech, for sure. I mean, he did play Bio against, I think it was Flash in TvT matchup, and it was kind of interesting, but I would love to see more of his mech. I think it was a decent idea to go for Bio in those positions on that map, but maybe that's not his strength here. And after that one-sided game, I would definitely say go for mech here, especially going into Echo.
Absolutely. I think it's just it's one of those things where it was a good positions, good opening to transition into 5 barracks, Bio, 9 Marine production cycles. His Mutalisk defense was his weak link in that game. And Mutalisks are what wins Byul his games of ZvT Bio. Nobody really, realistically, should be trying to beat Byul with Bio. TY did it. He got lucky with a timing push and expedition loss. If you go back and watch that game, you realize that probably he shouldn't have even won with that. He just simply somehow avoided all of Byul's detection, all of his scouting overlords, and just got a push through the back ice. That should have never happened. But I feel like versus Byul, Mech is the way to go, even though he's great versus it. I think that's the last Bio game we should probably see here.
Yep. And as I mentioned before, map number 2 is going to be Echo. This is one of the best meching maps for Terran. You can pretty easily get that 4th base up, and 5th base is not out of the question if you are going to play Mech versus Zerg. So, would expect to see him do it on this map. Let's see what Byul wants to do, though. Maybe he'll go a bit more aggressive, or maybe he does feel confident at this point after having played so many matches against it to just play it straight up.
That we will see. Echo the map, as you mentioned, is loading right now. Waiting for these two players to get into it before we go to game number 2.
Map is all loaded up here, guys. So set number 2 on Echo about to begin here between Byul and GuMiho. Let's jump into it right now.
HOT6 GSL 시즌 3
Down here in the bottom right, in the red, our Zerg player.
CJ 엔투스 별
And his opponent to the top left, in blue, Nine-Tailed Fox.
MVP 구미호
Dubbed the best meching Terran player in the world, and yet Bio with that early economy lead and the positions from last game, but got torn apart by Byul's meterless control. We even saw, again, an opportunity to snipe the evolution chambers that was not taken because GuMiho was not sure if they were done yet or not. In the heat of the battle, decided to go for the Baneling Nest, but just had no follow-up. So killing the Baneling Nest was essentially useless there.
Maybe if he had gone for the Baneling Nest and just got out of there, regrouped before it got up, and he could really make any more Banelings on the map, would have been a nice idea. But as you said before, it's really hard to tell. You're going to need to click on some units to really see those the upgrades coming up on these Zerg units. So going for, I guess, the safe choice there. You can't really blame him, but Byul's defense after that was really solid.
So 2 games in a row, we're going to see GuMiho go for CC first on the low ground. Does he go gas behind this again on this 2-player map? We saw Byul even scouted. He scouted that there was, no barracks procs. Like, he was concerned about that. Is what I'm trying to choke out here.
Yeah.
Look at this though. Again, barracks. Where is it? It's going to be gas instead. 2 games in a row. And this could lead into, again, Bio if Byul plays safe.
Yeah, I want to see what kind of build GuMiho is going to do here. He said before in the interview that he was very prepared for these first 3 maps. Cactus Valley, kind of a bigger map there. And we could even see that he forewent scouting at all until the Hellions came out. But this time around, it is going to be a 2-player map, so maybe he can do more of a, just a faster drop that can get to the base of the Zerg a bit faster because he'll know where he is, and it is a smaller map.
It's true. Already Byul knows the CC is here. And probably just going to see a Reaper skip again from GuMiho. There's the orbitals, and look at that factory timing. Lines up very nicely here.
Yep, same build as last time.
Wow. I'm really liking this because Byul has not shown very much aggression in the early game. He's not Sue, who will do that a lot. And you do this build against Sue twice in a row, and you are going to get punished. But against Byul, definitely a safer choice. But he knows what's up this time. Byul has an Overlord Scout, as you said, here much earlier, getting Ling speed again. And he might just want to go ahead and grab a faster 3rd base versus this. Because he took his 3rd base last game, obviously, on the 2-base layer timing, so very late.
Yeah, he's definitely thinking about it. He's going to send out, once again, just only making 2 Zerglings, not overcommitting to the scouting there. Doesn't look like he wants to put on much pressure at all. But still no 3rd base. Just waiting on that for now.
Yeah. You saw the observer pointing out that he's basically just pushing out the creep as soon as possible, droning up heavily. We saw the queen kind of rallied over there to help her sister spread that out to the third base. And this is going to be a much faster third base this time, even before Lair, it looks like.
Kind of what we were expecting. And GuMiho, he does make 2 Hellions to start. Does he transition into Widow Mines? He does have the 2 gas up here this time. And no tech lab here for the starport.
It looks like it's just going to be a straight Hellion drop potentially, or he could add an armory here as well. Okay, later Medevac. I would not be surprised if he adds an armory with this, just for that extra fall of Hellbat kind of push. With no Marines in production, it's a pretty big tell that he's not going to be doing a bio follow-up this time. Let's see if Byul's choice to take a third base is still safe here. I think so. I don't think there's much GuMiho is going to be able to do here, especially with a tight wall like this at the top of the ramp.
Yeah. Kind of just looks like a mixed kind of Hellion Widow Mine drop here. Maybe even just a Hellion drop and have some Widow Mines back at home to be safe. He is adding a 3rd command center at the same time. But I do like Byul's position. He's playing very safe behind this, getting that Roach Warren. He just needs to get some units out here to deal with this first drop.
Yep, it's coming across the map now. There are 0 Zerglings on the map, 4 Roaches on the way, but a bit delayed.
Yeah, and we do have Stim on the way, by the way, so it does look like GuMiho does want to go bio once again.
Yeah, he just cut Marine production for a while to make some add-ons, but good scouting here. Instantly 4 Queens to deny this. I mean, there's nothing at the third base to kill.
Not going to be able to transfer there just yet. But as you said, I mean, full wall here. You're not getting in. It's just not going to happen. Byul overly prepared, I'd say, for this.
Maybe because he wants to do something a bit further. Nidus Network is on the production tab now, and he is making a few more Roaches as well as Roach Speed. I'm going to check and see, has he seen the main base? He actually has no vision whatsoever of what GuMiho is doing. It's almost as if he wants to hide the fact that he's going Lair here, because let's talk about some things that GuMiho has not seen. He's not seen the Lair. He's seen Roaches, but he probably thinks they're defensive Roaches. And Byul did not make an Overseer, descended into the main, potentially because he didn't want him to know. Well, now he's showing one, but before he had not, so GuMiho might have been like, what is going on?
By the way, this is a cancel on the Stim. He is actually going to be going mech
so a fake
on the back of this, yep.
Interesting.
Nanitis is going to be up here at the third base, so he's just going to go for the front, hoping that there is not a tank out, but there will be a tank, and there is a decent wall here at the front to stop this.
He's only got 2 Marines in that bunker, though, so this is definitely not impervious where GuMiho is. He checks the main base, sees the Nidus is not there, sending the tanks now to the front. By tanks, I mean tank, because there's only one. The second one is...
Look at this trap.
Oh, wow. He should be able to see that, though, with this Changeling. If he looks very closely. The third base is a bit of a... I don't know about that. He's definitely not getting that one off, but... it might just be for a scout to see what kind of comp he's up against here. Okay, well, GuMiho's like turtle mode, more orbitals.
Yeah, if you're stuck on your 2 bases, just sit back. You'll eventually be able to take those bases, I suppose, if you get enough tanks out. So might as well prepare for the future.
He's actually kind of trying to set up a sort of mini contain, knowing that this is not really going to work. As soon as he saw the siege tank, he was like, oh. All right, abort this. All right, 4 Widow Mines here do go off. They will be killed for basically just 1.5 Roaches. But this is still not an attack that can occur versus now 3 siege tanks to be out, 1-1 upgrades to be finished. And I like GuMiho's position in this game a lot, despite the fact that he's locked onto 2 bases for the time being. This is a great plan, though, to spread all these tumors here. Yeah, if he actually continues to spread them, it could get even worse.
I think it's going to take forever for GuMiho to take a third base. And Byul, I think he's going to have a really nice timing here with Roach, Hydra, Viper to follow it up. Whereas GuMiho is going to be stuck on 2 bases for so long, he's not going to have the economy to get up enough defense against this. So, I don't know. Byul back at home, he's up to 72 drones. Could drone up more if he wants, but I think he's just preparing for a giant attack. It's going to be interesting to see if GuMiho, when he does eventually break out of this base, can he get up enough of a defense in time and spread out those tanks against the Blinding Clouds in time to deal with this?
Yeah. I'm just trying to really assess how much power it's going to take for GuMiho to break out. And will that moment coincide with the worst possible scenario, which is Byul attacking him as he moves out to take that third base before he can get fortified. because the cooling tower is still undestroyed. It's going to take him some time to get rid of that. He's definitely want to set that up ASAP. He needs to clear up this creep to stop the vision and that speed bonus. Look at this, doesn't even kill the Nidus. He saves that Nidus.
Yeah.
Still
Just
out
barely.
there. Hive is ready. 3 Vipers, as you said. The choice, Hydra speed, as well as 1-1 on the way.
What is this scan hit? Does see the Hive. Very important to note. Does not see any Vipers coming out. Doesn't know exactly what the composition is going to be.
But, you know, he already has a ton of Vikings. He is expecting something like this. You know, the Vikings are going to be good against the Vipers or the Broodlords. If it's Ultras coming out, I'm like, well, sorry, Bo, you just don't have enough money for that yet. But he has the answers. He just needs to grab this 3rd base. He needs the gas more than he needs anything else. And when you're going for mech and you get stuck on 2 bases, you're not missing the extra money. You're missing the extra gas. And those mules that he has from the 4th and 5th orbitals are not going to be useful because he needs gas, not money. Or not minerals, I should say, to be more precise.
Well, we do have Byul near maxed here. GuMiho still struggling to scan the front of this creep and get it down. It's going to be interesting. This creep should still be close to the army of GuMiho when this attack does hit.
Yeah, and GuMiho has a heavy Hellbat count, which is definitely going to be great against the Hydras, but he's going to have to get through the Roaches first. There are 7 siege tanks on the map. Byul doesn't even have to attack into this as if this is a timing attack. He's set it up that way to where it will be successful potentially that way, but he doesn't have to overcommit to this. He's got 4 bases, he's got nearly 80 drones, and he's got now a building bank. In fact, it looks like he has 7 gases online currently. This base isn't even landed. So to attack into this and commit to this, I feel, would be folly at this point in time.
He could attempt to pick off some of the units. I mean, he has maxed out on this kind of composition, but he definitely is preparing for later. Ultralisk Cavern adding a bunch of spines, you know, going into that Spire, no doubt to a greater Spire eventually, but he's sitting on so many drones. He had up to 80, so he's really just trying to mine and get a gigantic bank, as you were saying before, and maybe just pressure a bit here.
Yeah. Some abducts going down on these Vikings, but, you know, I think he wants siege tanks, to be honest. He's actually lost 2 of the 3 of his Vipers.
3 out of 4, actually.
3 out of 4,
it's
yeah.
like, yeah, not the best engage there from Byul, but
A Viking for a Viper is never a good trade. Ultralisk Cavern on the way, though. That transition you were talking about is available, and GuMiho's Thor count is quite low. Only has 9 tanks, and he's got, obviously, you know, the only other answers for Ultras are like Banshees or Marauders, both of which are out of the question at this point in time. GuMiho nowhere near enough gas to make a late-game transition to Tech Lab Starports. BCs, see you in 20 minutes. We're going to have them at all in this game. If this game's going to last that long, that is. He's cut off.
I really love the way that Byul has been dealing with mech on this map. Instead of just sitting back and like being very defensive, saying, okay, I know you're going to go mech, you're going to be defensive, let me take 5 bases and trying to mine out the map, and we'll go to, you know, an hour-and-a-half long game. He's like, let me play at a bit more tempo, do a Nidus at your 3rd, spread a bunch of creeps so that it takes you forever to get your 3rd base. 4th base is still like out of the question. If you look at the map, the creep is everywhere, and Byul just has like a giant soft contain out here. And all the while, he has the most booming economy. He's going to have a gigantic bank. He's essentially got even more ahead of GuMiho with a bit of an aggressive play earlier on in this game, and then eventually transitioning into more passive play.
Only 1 Hellion comes out right now. Just going to check for how many bases are on the map, but I feel like that's insignificant. That's irrelevant information. You should assume he has every base. Basically, what Byul's biggest asset is versus GuMiho right now, despite the fact that GuMiho, he's got 2 things going for him. It's the fact that he's denied GuMiho's gas mining, and that this game limits you to 200 supply. GuMiho's supply is 29 Hellions. He's got 29 Hellions on the map. Make that 33 if you count that 4 of those are in Hellbat mode. So there are 33 Hellions on the map, and they are sitting, doing nothing. No harass attempts, no run-by attempts. There's a blob of units and a bunch of creep that will spot a Hellion move out. It looks like now he's actually going to walk on the map with all of his units. This is a scary choice.
He's just going for it, and it looks like Byul's setting up to come from many different sides. The Hellions do get right on top of the Hydras here, getting some really nice shots.
And he's actually just fighting this in tank mode, and with all the AoE of these Hellions, maybe this was the moment he was looking for. He's lost half his Hellions now, though. You can see his army supply dropping, and the thing is, Byul has money to transition, and I think he's going to go into Ultras. In fact, he is 8 of them on the way currently.
Yeah, and on the way, they're going to take a while to get out here. But look at this small little roach force coming in towards the third base. It looks like GuMiho can't turn around right now, but he's going to lose all of the mining at that third base, and this is essentially an all-in from here.
It absolutely is, and he's never going to be able to replace these units with no gas. 8 Ultras going to pop out. There are so many Queens of Transfuses available as well. He's going to have to deal with Ultras with 4 Thors and 9 Siege Tanks? Don't think so. He kills a base and walks away, but he needs to secure his own economy before he can even worry about trying to transition into any sort of longer game here.
He's down to 26 workers. Byul is taking a 5th base and his 6th base back. This will eventually be stopped, but I mean, I think this has just done way too much damage.
Yeah.
Byul's got a massive economy. He's got every tech that he will need, maybe outside of Broodlords.
He's transitioning. He's got the potential for transitioning to that though. Look, he's getting the flyer upgrades coming up.
Well,
Just gonna attack into this. Look at these blinding clouds. GuMiho stands no chance in this fight. There's Abducts on Thors. Man, this is just going to be an easy win here.
Decimation, a steamroll over what he's got. GG. Byul takes 2 in a row.
33 Hellions on the map, not one Hellion run-by attempt. I think he got a bit jarred by that Nidus, which, you know, he could have actually defended, you know, by moving out earlier, but he just kind of sat back and Byul was like, all right, I'm just going to kind of camp this and take every base on the map. And if you're not going to harass, if you're not going to drop, if you're not going to run by, what am I afraid of, you know? He just literally sat on 2 bases from the majority game, went to a 3rd base that was late. Byul controlled the entire map. He didn't even really control it. GuMiho did not contest it, is actually the better way to describe how that game went. He knew there was a lot of creep spread, so I understand his fear of sending 15, 16 Hellions out and running them around the map because Hydras and Roaches are going to see that instantly and go and chase them down, but I think that's better than sitting and doing nothing, building 3,000 mineral bank with 150 gas or so in general at times to actually spend anything for. And if he doesn't contest that army earlier, which he could have done before Byul took a bank, then he could have taken a 4th base. We saw that contesting that army was absolutely doable with that first move out. He could have done that potentially earlier. A lot of different things GuMiho could have done, but I think Byul really got into his head there, and he sat back, turtled. A tough game for him, and then eventually, obviously, you're never going to be able to beat a Zerg with no gas when you're macking. Could have even like tried to transition into bio and make like 10 barracks or something without a better chance of just sitting there doing nothing.
I think he definitely could have gone for some Hellion run-bys, but he definitely had to get some kind of force up before he was able to break that contain. Byul had a really nice just soft contain there, a big concave up on that diamond. That's one of the hard things to deal with on that map of Echo. If you can gain control of that position on the map, we've seen, I think it was Flash take out Innovation in a TVT just by setting up a soft contain over there. It's one of the main parts of that map, and I'm so happy that Byul went for that kind of build, denying the 3rd base for so long and then just controlling that part of the map. We see every single time at the highest level that the players will abuse that specific part of the map, and it just makes me happy, Wolf.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm glad Byul is actually thinking outside the box here. So many of his strategies already shown versus TY and Innovation, but he's not keeping it the same. He's changing it up.
Well, guys, 3rd map here is going to be Bonnie Research Station, and it has loaded, so let's jump into game number 3 right now. Byul versus GuMiho.
HOT6 GSL 시즌 3.
Down here in the south, in the red, up 2 games right now, he is.
CJ 엔투스 별.
I was waiting for that. I was like, I'll say it. If they don't say it, I'll do it. I'm ready. On match point is Byul. His opponent to the top in blue.
MVP GuMiho.
GuMiho on his last legs here. I feel like a little bit of nerves coming into that last game.
He looked really down in the booth. We got that one camera shot after that loss. He kind of just looked like at a loss for what to do against this guy. Byul really came in hard with that first game, just shutting down any kind of push GuMiho could have done with the bio, and then just made it look easy. Those are one of the worst feelings if you're playing Protoss or Terran against a Zerg, when they get a bunch of mutas up and you just can't stop it, and they just run around your bases and you're stuck where you can't move outside of your base because every time you do, they swoop in the back door and kill everything.
It's a nightmare.
It's one of those games that really gets you down, makes you feel pretty bad.
And trust me, every time I lose to Mulus on the ladder, man, I'm like, I need to get out of my room. Okay, I need to go outside. I'm going up on the roof. I'm gonna look down at this beautiful city and like rethink my life. I'm like, maybe I should switch to Zerg. You know, like Legacy of the Void's coming up. Like, maybe it's some time for a change in my life. You know, just take out there, like, you know, just looking.
Speaking of Legacy of the Void, I definitely want to start playing that game a ton as it gets closer here. You know, towards the after BlizzCon does end, it's going to come out right away.
Sure.
I want to get on that. Maybe we can do a bit of streaming,
Absolutely.
do a bit of Archon mode between the Salmons. Maybe get Nick and Dan in here as well.
Yeah, Tastosis and Team Salmon all playing Archon mode. That would be 5 of us. We might have to find the sixth, one of the 6-point star of our Archon mode. I want to talk about Legacy more, but before we go any deeper into that sort of discussion, I do want to point out that GuMiho has played into Byul's hands to a certain extent in this third game because he's going for a safe Reaper opening, and he kind of is forced to do this because if he dies to some sort of crazy all-in or aggression from Byul, he's on match point, so he can actually force a win potentially with an all-in like that on this 2-player map. So it's funny because I like that GuMiho does this, but it's cool that Byul can actually just play a normal opening and GuMiho has to kind of do Reapers because if he just dies, it's all over for him. I'm going to send this first Reaper into Scout. This first 2 Reapers shouldn't do much damage. He might add a third because he's GuMiho. He's one of the best Reaper players in Korea, and in fact, he is.
Yeah. That's generally what you see when you see more than one. I can't remember the last time that I've seen 2 Reapers come out, but nice little Reaper micro here coming out of
I'm
GuMiho.
like, you've been in Korea too long.
Doing some of that sick micro, man.
This is when our Korean affects our English. I've been like 60-40 speaking more Korean than more English this last week, man. I totally feel you. I'm going to start saying something crazy soon. We've got a third CC, or excuse me, the second CC now on the way, but obviously very delayed with a factory coming up here. And
wouldn't be surprised if he does add a third one.
There it is.
There it is. It's kind of what you see on this map. I mean, it's really safe to hold on 2 bases. You can get it very easily.
This third Reaper hasn't been shown yet, so he could actually, now that he's fully healed, come in with 3 Reapers and grab a kill or 2 if Byul is not really on point. Ooh, good control here. Loses 1 drone. Might get a second. There he does. Wow, running circles around these queens right now. Notice the Reaper that's the weakest is the furthest away from these queens. Great control.
We were talking about his Reaper. Oh, man. His Reaper micro.
Well, I think it's because you're, well, first of all, you live in Korea where the word...
well, it's Reaper micro as well, so it's like Meeper micro or something.
That was, as I say, it's like you've got the fact that in Korea the word micro is pronounced micro, and then you've got...
I got everything jumbled
E
up
for
my head,
Reaper.
man.
So, Byul takes a significant lead just simply because of GuMiho's safety. I mean, yeah, the Reaper kills are nice and kind of unheard of in this matchup, but at the end of the day, only a few drone kills is somewhat significant when you think about the fact that GuMiho spent 150 gas on 3 Reapers that now if he loses, it'll just be tragic. He cannot actually let those die. He's going to actually harass with them now in the main base while Hellions sneak around to the third base. Now this is more than insignificant damage. This is very significant.
He's going to lose all the Reapers here. Hellions, I think they do get a couple of drones here, so they are going to go down as well. Only 2 more Hellions out on the map. He's going to be making 2x2 to attempt to keep map control, but...
Something else is, let me check GuMiho's vision. He actually did not check to see if Byul has a third base, but he would have seen the lair. He needs to prepare for, again, heavy 2-base aggression. This time in the form of Ulysses, not Nidus, but he needs to be set up. I want to see an absurd amount of turrets. I want to see more than 1 in each mineral line and 1 on the production. I want to see like 2 in each mineral line, and 1 on the production is probably still fine. Not right now, obviously, because it's too early for that. But as we go into the mid game, his Mulus defense was his Achilles heel in game number 1. That's what won Byul that game, and I want to see a hardcore commitment to turtling and defense. I want to see what innovation would do, like an absurd amount of turrets is what we normally see in the late game. Like, I want to see like WCS turrets, okay, from over there watching WCS mech players versus Zerg. I want to see like 65 turrets and like 66 sensor towers, okay?
Could be pretty cool to see that many sensor towers, but maybe a bit too much.
also, I want to see Thors because we saw a late commitment to Thors from GuMiho.
Look at
This
this.
drop, unscouted. There's literally no vision on the map for Byul right now, like none.
Yeah, there were no overlords on that side of the map. Kind of interesting that he keeps them all back. There was one Viking that he actually did go into instead of any kind of Banshee because it was scouted, the tech lab on the starport. Look at this one Ling. Just going to come in here and see the fact that GuMiho is in fact going mech.
Most casual Ling scout ever.
Yeah, just strolling up in there like, hey guys, how's your base?
That's so important too because that's actually his first scout that GuMiho is going for mech. He added the safety Roach Horn just in case, and I was like, oh, okay, you're really doing it. He's actually going to go into Roach speed right away here as a result. The armory is finished. Now we can actually drop these Hellions and transform them into Hellbats, as there are only 20 Lings on the map. If he actually got them into a good position, he could find something with that. The Mulists, of course, are going to make this a little bit less than desirable to commit to. But those are supplies here. Byul is just, without a third base for so long, really behind in supply overall. Whereas GuMiho has been on 3 bases for way longer than a Zerg, and these Mulists really need to pay for that, late third base.
And look at this, just 2 Hellions coming in towards that third base. Still no Spine Crawler over there. Very annoying angle for just 2 Hellions to come in and get 7 kills on drones, essentially for free.
This just looks so strange to me. I'm watching simply a Zerg player take a third base so late versus GuMiho has been allowed to take a third so easily. And this is the first pressure we're seeing here. 2 Vikings are going to come out and push these Mulists back, but not before they kill a refinery, similar to game 1.
That's a really nice snipe, actually. Really not bad. The Vikings a bit out of position. Byul can't overstay his welcome, though. He'll lose 1 Muta. Does not get the supply depot.
GuMiho even repairing that, being proactive.
Adding more turrets.
Yeah, let's see if he goes up to 62.
Yeah, we can count. If this gets into a bit of a longer game, we'll count actually how many turrets he does go for.
Don't worry, I can press T and see the production or the structures tab. +1 Carapace for Mulists nearly finished, by the way.
Yeah, went for that instead of the ground unit Carapace. Went for the +1 to ground range units, missile attacks here.
Yeah, and those Mulists actually microed very well. Very rarely do you see small Mulist counts actually challenge Vikings like that, but he avoided the turrets and did some pretty sexy micro, I have to say, eliminating some of those Vikings. Of course, GuMiho is still committing to these and stays ahead in supply just slightly, but he has all these extra orbitals being added. And Byul having a 4th base only just now being added with such a late third, and even once the third was added, it wasn't being mined from for so long. And now GuMiho checks and sees there's no 4th base here. Doesn't know about the 4th base on the left side, which is obviously supplemented by an insane amount of creep. No critical things to say about the creep in this game.
Look at how thick that creep is. You can barely see the purple amongst all the little red dots. Sorry for you guys watching on low quality.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sorry.
Shout outs to the plebs.
They need a sub, man. I'm so sorry. I'm like,
Shout outs anyway.
Apologize for apologizing, Valdez.
Shout outs to the Dank Memes crew and the plebs as well.
Oh my god, he actually cannot commit to the store.
He really wants that refinery.
He's just not going to get it, I'm afraid. The Vikings are like, should we land this? No, not that crazy. Okay.
Does delay the gas mining for a while.
This game is just actually kind of absurd. Like, GuMiho is just doing everything and getting away with it. He's just massively ahead, even in supply, and Byul's not even trading.
Byul's not really making units, and he's taking a 5th base with 86 drones now.
He's trying to decide what he wants to make, but, I mean, the fact of the matter is he's not behind because his macro is bad, but he's behind because he doesn't know necessarily what he wants to do. And that's one of the scary things as a Terran player versus a Zerg when you're trying to mech is tech switches are so hard to prepare for. If you have too many Thors for possible Mulists and a big Roach attack with Hydras comes in, you kind of have a small siege tank count, that's problematic. Or the opposite can occur. You make a lot of siege tanks, but you don't have enough Thors for the Mulist switch that occurs because Larva allows Zerg players to instantly make one type of a unit and mass it.
He's been slowly getting all of his upgrades and just getting all the necessary tech, now going into a hive, still not making any units. He's essentially just made the necessary units to hold GuMiho on his side of the map, and that's about it. 5 roaches, 5 mutas. There were more before. And 17 lings. 91 drones. It seems like he's just hunkering down on Bonnie Research Station for like the longest game of all time, but GuMiho doesn't want to allow that. He's up to 200 supply, and he may want to go for a push here.
Yeah, this is not a large enough counterattack force for GuMiho to really worry about, although, as I say that, he does back off as 5 roaches and less than a handful of lings.
29 mutas coming in. 29.
There are only going to be 6 Thors on the map and 12 Vikings, but if the Thors are all together, these Mulas cannot actually fight this. This is why, again, I think it's important to make about 62 turrets in this match. No, I'm exaggerating, but I would like to see more than what he has. He has 8 turrets currently. They're very spread out. Let's see if Byul is actually going to try to magic box these Thors.
I don't think GuMiho is going to expect this. This is going to be his first time seeing it. Here we go.
Okay, we're going to see this engage now.
Magic box coming in, gets right on top of those Thors and the Vikings.
Yeah, the Thors don't have armor yet.
Yeah, and they do have +1/+1, the mutas do.
And they get Shrek'd. Well, he's not kiting with those Vikings very well.
Yeah, the Vikings all go down here, and this is actually going to force GuMiho to move back.
Here come those Thors that I was looking for, the 5th and 6th.
Still, it's just Thors at this point. They have no support, and even this low amount of mutas that do have 1/1 are going to be able to poke at them.
My biggest concern is that GuMiho is countering the Mutalisk, and the Mutalisk count has been significantly reduced. And he's actually just pushing with his Hellbats into these bases. Even his slow tank mode tanks are going to kill a hatchery. And he's going to have 3 more Thors at home. Let's see. Oh, God, that drone line there, almost all of them dead. Let's see if he could defend this follow-up push.
I don't think he can. He's lost nearly his entire mech army. And he's got a bunch of orbitals, but he never even took a 4th base. He's just sitting back here on 3. He's got 6 gases. He's going to struggle to remax, whereas Byul, he was on 92 drones. He's, you know, he did lose that 4th base, but is getting back another 6th base. And there's still a very heavy amount of mutas that are going to keep GuMiho in his base for another very long time.
Yeah, he doesn't have a 4th. He's just now trying to take one. And these Vikings getting hit as well here. He needs to use Medivacs to be chasing with Thors. So if you don't have Medivacs, you can't chase Mulas with Thors. One of the fastest units in the game versus one of the slowest units in the game. Guess who wins that chase?
It's kind of in a wonky situation because he wants to get out Vikings as well to deal with it, but like, you know, even they aren't helping too much.
Well, I mean, again, I have to echo that I think, you know, when I said earlier I thought GuMiho was in a decent position because the Mulas count was low. The Mulas did survive. He did kind of gather them together. He did do a lot of harass. I still favor, I favor Byul significantly now, but I think that GuMiho is like still going to live here. You know, he's going to take this 4th base, he's going to hold on to it for a little while. His Mulas control a little bit off here.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you're just going for plain mutas, you're going to struggle to really shut down the Terran 100% for sure. But let's see what Byul wants to go into off the back of this. He is remaxed, and I think he did get like an Ultralisk Cavern in the meantime. Can you check that for me?
He did not.
Oh, okay. So
he might have started one and canceled it, but he doesn't have one currently.
Yeah, he's just stayed on this Lair Tech essentially.
You know,
now.
Yeah, you're right. I think what Byul is trying to do is to force a mass Thor kind of stockpile and then go into this push here with the ground units. But there are still a few siege tanks on the map, and +2/2 Thors do decently against this kind of ground army, especially behind a planetary. I take it back though, they only have 2/1, only +1 armor. Look at these blinding clouds, they're going to have to run away from the planetary, but not the right direction. And this means this planetary will almost certainly go down, and look at these abducts.
There was only one tank in position, the other one does get grabbed here. Still a lot of Thors and a lot of Hellions should be able to push this back for now.
Yeah, it turns out Hellions do great against light units like Hydras, and AoE on top of Roaches with Thor support is going to clean this up as well. And he wants, I would say in most cases, you'd want to make Ultralisk now, but he can't. He doesn't have that cavern. He's going to actually just remake those ground units, those ranged units.
Yeah, going to go for a lot of Roaches in the mix. Makes sense against this many Hellions.
Because 3 Thors live, he's not as scared about a Mulas transition. He knows with the economy of Byul, which is not unlimited, he can't really make a massive Mulas switch, so he's smartly adding siege tanks right now. He's scanning, he's basically starting to figure out, okay, you're going to go into pure ground from here, I'm just going to add tanks. The follow-up Ultralisk switch is coming, but Byul needs to build a bank again before he can make, say, 6, 7 Ultras.
Yeah. Again, I mean, when you're going against mech, if they do get a 4th base up, it does extend the game for pretty long time here. He is going to want to eventually take a 5th base, maybe in the middle here. I think a gold base would be a bit risky, especially based on Byul's position on the map right now and the angle he is attacking. But, yeah, I mean, GuMiho is essentially held on for now, for sure.
All right, 3 Vipers here. Looking for the best blinding clouds. I can actually try to catch some reinforcements here between the bases. Gonna almost get a siege tank. Oh, does get it. Oh, look at this. It's actually just going to drive the Hellions into the middle of these Hydras and actually doing a little bit of damage back there, but mostly...
They drove too far.
Yeah.
You know, they went for way too long on move command and just were not able to get the hits.
And then the blinding clouds were good. GG.
Yep,
Byul takes the series 3-0.
Wow.
Making it look easy. Going to Star League Finals on Sunday. Going to top 4 to fight Deer.
You know, Byul was talking about how his condition wasn't good today. I don't think that affected him at all in this series. I think GuMiho definitely didn't look on his game, and maybe he was just pressured a bit due to, you know, that overwhelming star sense, I suppose, you get when you're playing against someone like Byul. But that was absolute domination, a full-on steamroll out of Byul. And unfortunately, we do not get to see that Game 5 Terraform curse come back.
Nope, does not even go that far. GuMiho showing us some very weak play today. I have to say, just being constantly under the pressure of Byul's aggression. It turns out his attack was a 10 out of 10 today, mostly with Mutalisk, but forcing the switches. Mutalisk control in Game 1, giving him that win, and then in Game 2, GuMiho just looking a little bit off, and in Game 3, he had a lead in supply. He just got caught off by the Mutalisk. His 5th and 6th Thors were not there, and he kept scanning and seeing no units. But before he really figured out what was going on, he just walked onto Creep, got Magic Box, and there's your 3-0.
Yeah. Byul essentially had total control over the entire series, the entire time, in every game. I don't really remember one point where GuMiho was looking strong. Maybe that point where he was about to snipe that Baneling nest and he had a decent fight off the creep, you know, a pretty good split there. But outside of that, and after that, it was really just very one-sided.
Yeah, honestly, just a really sad performance from GuMiho considering what he showed us up to the round of 8. Showing us some of his best play in years.
And I think that was his 13th round of 8 finish here, or at least the 13th time he's gotten to the round of 8. So once again is going to be stopped here. But we will be hearing from Byul in just a moment. Let's see what he has to say.
테란을 3대0 완벽하게 잡고 4강 진출을
So you defeated the Terran 3-0 perfectly.
축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
와, 정말 깔끔한
Congratulations.
군더더기도 필요 없는 다 완벽했던
You had a clean victory
경기였어요.
today.
소감 어떠세요?
How do you feel?
생각보다 경기가 너무 잘 풀려가지고
네.
되게 지금
Everything
만족하고
went as I
어,
planned. Everything went well, better than he
안
expected.
좋으셨고
네.
바쁜 만큼 이제 몸살이 난 것 같은데
Your condition wasn't good,
준비는
but
굉장히 좋았던 것
you know, you
같습니다.
look sick.
오늘
You still
고병재
you still won out
선수와의
with your
경기에서
preparation.
위기라던가 당황했던 순간 혹시 한 번도 없었나요?
What was the crucial moment? Was there anything that really stressed you out? I can't really think of a specific moment, but maybe in the first set.
딱히 없는 것 같아요.
오늘 한지호
The first
선수의
engagement went bad for me.
판단이나 뭐 전략 모두 좋았던 것 같은데
But everything else was, you know, pretty
테란전
easy.
이해도가 남다른
There
것
was not
같아요.
really any
혹시
stressful
나만의 이 테란전 다른 이유 있을까요?
Seems like you have a really good understanding in the ZvT matchup.
다른 저그 선수들하고는 좀 다르게 연구를 하고
네.
그러는 스타일이어서
I think I'm a little bit different
좀
from the other
까다로워하는
Zerg players. I
여기가
practice
어떻게 다른데요?
different from the other Zerg
그냥
players.
다른 저그처럼 안 하려고 해요. 저만의
I just practice differently. Try to play like
구종이
differently from the other
테란이에요?
Zergs, not like the other Zergs.
부종 안 해요.
그래요?
거의 안 해요.
그냥 저그만 하는데 그렇게 테란의 심리를 잘 파악하는 거예요?
네, 팀원들한테도 많이 물어보고
네.
그러는 편이에요. 테란들한테.
구종을 안 한다는 점이
I asked
무척
my teammates
독특한데
about
오늘
strategies.
1세트 텍토스 밸리에서 경기가
You
있었죠.
know, talking to
상대가
my Terran teammates.
바이오닉으로 오히려 허리 찌르려는 것 같았어요.
네.
당황스럽지
GuMiho
않다
went
하시는데
bio in
오늘
the first
딱히
set.
그때 어떠셨어요?
그러니까
How'd you feel when you
첫
saw
판 아니면
네.
세네 번째 판에 할 것 같다는 생각은 했는데
네.
근데
I expected them to go bio in either the first set or maybe the third or fourth or fifth set, but I scouted it early on.
들어간 것 같아요. 제 입장에서.
네, 뮤링링 특히 이 맹독 중에 굉장히 시원했죠.
So, you know, once he
자,
figured
그리고
out
이
what he was up
세트에서는
against, the
정말
match
또
got easier
재밌는
from then
경기를
on, taking that first
보여주셨습니다.
game.
네.
처음에 바퀴 올인을 생각하셨던 거예요? 아니면
아니요.
연기였던 거예요?
연기, 그러니까 찌르는 척하고
So, were you actually planning on going for the Roach all in or going
우리
for
상대가 굉장히
a
답답했을
fake
것
or kind of
같아요.
into a contain? And he said like, no,
타이가스
I'm
굉장히
just
못
trying to get
먹어서
him scared
조급하게
and win a
만들어졌던
longer game, play
건데
this macro game,
핵심은
not
전막인가요?
an all-in
그렇죠?
plan there with the Roach attack.
때는 전막이 제일
It was great execution.
저도 열심히 전막을 깔다 보면은 그럼 테란전 잘할 수 있을까요?
Creep spread is very important when you go
컴퓨터도
against a
해야
mech
되고
Terran
네.
player.
다른 것도 많아가지고
And that's actually what he
그것만으로는
focused on the
아니다.
most tonight.
자,
tell
기분
that
좋게
game three for
깔끔하게
sure.
3대0 승리를
Absolutely,
거두고
man. I
올라가게
was like looking at the
됐습니다.
creep and saying, are
gross.
those the
정말
tumors? There's like more
양대리그
tumors than
결승도
there were
어떻게
actual
보면
creep.
가능할 것 같고 욕심이 나실 것 같아요. 어떠세요?
원래 욕심이 안 났었는데
It's no
네.
longer a dream. You might actually be able to realize what you wanted to be a GSL finalist as well as a Star League finalist.
막상 이제 4강 왔으니까
네.
Because my condition wasn't good tonight, I thought I was going to lose, but
더욱더
I'm in the semis.
욕심이 나는 거
I think Deer is someone I can defeat,
할만한 거 코스는 다
so I
똑같지만
really want to advance to the
네,
finals to
자,
be in two
백동준 선수와의
individual league
4강전
finals.
어떨지 무척 기대가 되는데요.
He would be the first
자, 마지막으로 4강에 나서는
Ever to be
한지호
in two
선수
at the same
각오
time, I believe
들어보겠습니다.
these two. No player has ever won
이번
both.
시즌에 아쉽게 4대 1로 제 플레이를 못 보여주고
Last season I
우승을
lost in
했는데
the finals
이번
4-1.
시즌에는 뭐
I didn't perform well,
멋진 경기력으로 지든 이기든 4대 3으로
but this season I'm going to try to do well
네, 스타리그 결승도 멋진 활약
and try to produce
기대하겠습니다.
more exciting games. to
네,
the
다시
fans.
한번 진출 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
네. 자, 이렇게 오늘
There
8강
you go.
2경기에서
Bill
3대0
is going
스코어로
on to the round of 4. He will have to
진출을
face
이룬
off
한지원
against
선수
Deer,
만나봤고요.
someone
저는
who I
다음
definitely have to
금요일
favor Bill
경기로
against as
인사드리도록
well.
I
하겠습니다.
definitely do
오늘 경기
too.
최종 정리 확인해
You know,
보시죠.
if you look at the previous PvP, most people were favoring Classic winning the matchup, but I was like, you know what, I think Deer's got a good chance here. But when it goes against Byul, I think it's going to be a totally different story.
And who do you think gets out on the other side of the bracket? Ro8 versus Maru?
I have to go with Maru, even though his condition looked a bit weaker in Star League and he didn't play in the last matches for Gen Air and Pro League. I have to go with Maru going into this one because I think he did show great matches in the round of 32 and 16. And in the bottom part of the bracket, I have to go with Zest, to be honest. His performance in Pro League, he went, what, like 9-0, 10-0 in round 4? Just flawless.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if the final here is Byul versus Zest. I think that's like a near perfect finals, and I think those are the two players that really deserve, just like based on their condition right now. That would, to me, make the most sense as a GSL final.
It's like some of the two best players in the world. You know, Hero even having, to be totally frank, in Star League, one of the easier brackets now to go up and face Byul. I think Byul could actually be, I mean, I'm not trying to predict anything, but I think it is possible, like we had in the interview, it's no longer just a dream, but Byul could be the first player to win a GSL and a Star, to win two Korean individual leagues that are going on at the same time, to be a champion of both. It's never happened in Korea before.
I'd even say it's a high chance. This guy is looking really on his game.
Absolutely is. Well, don't forget.
Yep. On Friday, we do have Ro8 versus Maru and Zest versus Innovation. As you guys saw in the bracket, there will be me and Moonglade casting that one.
Yes,
Should
it
be
will.
a fun one.
Be sure to hit us up on Twitter, of course. I always say this, but I love to hear from you guys. I'm Proxy Wolf. He's Brenna Valdez. Tweet at us and hit us up.
That's going to be it for us tonight. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.